Yes.
Yeah, we're very emotional because the game's just ended 24-17 to the All Blacks. Huge euphoria at Watsonia because we were going and but we were going for a draw. And that's the reality of this test match. We were getting euphoric as the world champions Springboks, back-to-back world champions. We were fighting to get a draw, which does not take away the Eden Park record. Kudos to the All Blacks, 51 unbeaten now. They've taken the world champions 24-17. But when I look at that scoreline, in all honesty, emotionally, before I watched the game again, it really flattered the Springboks. We were never in that contest until the last 15 minutes.
No, we weren't ever in that contest. Good pushback in the second half. They reverted to type, and you saw the results. The Boks won the second half, came back into the game, and you started to see some signs of life again. And that's, I think that there's a big learning in that, but we shouldn't be learning in these kind of games. This is the biggest game of the season, I think. Most people will probably agree with it. And we were a bit of a no-show. The first half was abysmal. I think there's going to be a lot of rhetoric about the referee, but the bottom line is we've been playing the wrong way, and it came back to bite us in this massive game. I don't think it's something that the players need to wear. I think the management team needs to take a long, hard look in the mirror.
Yeah, if you look at the selections all season, the mixing and the matching, building squad depth for 2027. The one thing about Rassie was in 2018, there was no talk of squad depth. There was no talk of, he played 14, he lost 7, he won 7. He was trying to find his team. Kind of pretty much has that team now, and he just doesn't play it. For me, Wilco on the 60th minute, 61st minute, first moment he's on, an incredible scrum effort, and it results in a try for Kobus Reinach. We have the strongest tight-head scrummager in world rugby, and we keep him on the bench at Eden Park for 61 minutes when our scrum's not really getting parity. It's dropping down. We've got the odd scrum penalty. Luit de Jager comes on, he fixes a line out. We go back to kind of the more conservative, when you're ball first. New Zealand never looked troubled in the line-out. There was very little pressure put on them throughout the game.
Yeah.
If you go and you look at Buenos Aires of what the Pumas did to them, what we've done to them in the past, where we've kind of suffocated them, and that's when they're at their worst. When New Zealand's got ball, they got time, they got space, they got rhythm, they're always going to look good. And in the first 55, 60 minutes, I just felt there was never a case of us squeezing them. We were trying to play rugby against them in those conditions, and with a very confused, I don't say it's limitations, with a very confused mindset. I think the not knowing whether to go, hold, or offload from Damien Dialandi, one of our best players, I think on 59 minutes, kind of just summed up the Springbok performance today. These guys, double World Cup, back-to-back World Cup winners, don't seem to quite know what they need to be doing on the field. I mean, to get out of that game with a 7-point defeat, a losing bonus point, there's respect in that. But this was the Boks team picked correctly. They should have gone to Eden Park and ended that record.
No, spot on. And I really do believe that if the game plan had been different, we start Kobus Reinach at 9, we play a long kicking game, Wilco low starts, we dominate the set piece, we force New Zealand to play out of those wet conditions with the ball in hand, which is how they want to play. It's a totally different ball game. But we once again, we played directly into the opposition's hands through the way that we're playing rugby. And we're making some really great players look pretty average. And I'm sure that's not going down too well in the team room.
And I mean, the line-out has always been one of our huge strengths, okay? Our contestable is one of our huge strengths. In today's game, in the first 55 minutes, the line-out was pretty much non-existent. So there's no platform from that. And this has been consistent with every single match. And that comes down to when you listen to the cleverer guys as well, guys who have played at that level and have been very good leaders. We don't know whether to commit or not to commit at the breakdown. We don't know whether to drive the ball forward or to hold it. On the attacking kind of thing, we get isolated, we get beaten at the breakdown. People will say Carl Dixon did us a dirty today. You know what? He will say he refereed the 50-50. We put ourselves in a position where we gave it to the referee to make that interpretive call.
Yeah.
And when I look back at the 2023 World Cup Boks, I look back at the 2019 ones in the playoffs, and then the side that won the rugby championship last year, they played with a certainty. Even at 24-10 in a playoff game 2 years ago, you would have thought this team would be calm, composed, and they'd know how to win. We looked frantic. We looked like a team chasing something we've never had before.
Yeah, and you just look at some of the decisions around the personnel, like Ethan Hooker's a guy who's been a very good news story for South African rugby, really bright spot, coming through the ranks, great prospect, everyone's excited to see him. We put him on ice, nobody sees him, and then he comes on off the bench against the All Blacks in this circus at Eden Park. What is the material benefit of this experience for him?
Well, he comes off. You know, you looked at the thing at 58 minutes when they took Pollard off, put Sasha on. Pollard came back on when Dialandi went off with a headlock. that's not planning. That's just kind of circumstantial. But if you're going to pick Pollard and say, "But we're going to score tries," then you've got to decide where do you play Sasha. If you pick Pollard and say we're going to play a certain game to get to 15-12 with 10 minutes to go, and then we're going to go score tries, that kind of thing. So we said it earlier on in the week. This is not being clever after the fact. This is not the benefit of hindsight. We looked at that match 23 and we just had questions about the composition of those players, not the individual quality of those players. The composition of those players, and like, is he kind of looking to evolve a team? Is he looking to go win a test match? And you know, when we beat them in South Africa 2 in a row, when we beat them at Twickenham, when we beat them at the World Cup final, we didn't care who they picked.
Precisely.
Now we held back our team to see who they were going to pick. Are they going to go 6-2 or 5-3? We don't know what they're going to do. All of a sudden, it was like watching the old South African press conferences when New Zealand, like, you're close, mate. You're going to get there. Just keep on playing in the wide channels. Keep on playing like that, mate. When we played them the South African way, we've actually dominated them on 1-4 on the bounce. Now that's been broken again, playing for the first 55 minutes the New Zealand way. And it really pisses me off when I see that, because we've got the Coke formula, and then we decide, let's tamper with that, because let's see people like Coke Light or Tab or maybe Fanta. Oh, no. 2 weeks later, they actually do like the Coke. And this whole belief that do what's in our DNA. It's our DNA. Hulle weet nie wat ons weet nie. Nee, maar ons weet nie wat ons weet nie.
That's correct.
Ons weet nie wat ons weet nie.
That's correct.
And that annoys me.
Yeah, the good news is there were some good performances from some solid players. I thought Kane bounced back very nicely this week, played some good rugby. Duke's always good to go forward. I thought Luke and Jan-Hendrik Wessels made a great impact on the lineup when they came on in the second half. And obviously Wilco Low. How that guy had to wait till the 60th minute to get on the field is just absolutely bizarre. I thought he was very good.
Well, you calmed me down there. I saw that you like bring it down there. Take it down to second here. Wilco Low, 62nd minute that he got on in Cape Town. I was screaming in the press box. I was kind of like 30 meters away from him. Get him on from the outset. He is just a destructive scrummager. He just gives that team so much confidence, okay? It even coincided with Kwagga getting the yellow card. Now, again, people will say, Carl Dixon was so quick to put his hand in the pocket for us, never for them. It's hometown. That's what you get when you play at home. You get the roll of the dice. You get the rub of the green. You get the hometown decisions. We had to take the referee out the equation. We brought him into the equation. We made everything a contestable. Our players were arguing with him throughout the game. Whether it was a 9, whether it was a 6, whether it was a 12, a 13, we were arguing with him. I've never seen New Zealand basically in the last 2 seasons look so unfazed, because there was such little pressure put on them until the last 10 minutes, and then they looked frantic. They looked as kind of all over the place as they have for 2 years. But they'll go away and say, we just beat the back-to-back world champions 24-17. We're on our way back. And there's a lot of soul searching to do with the Boks management more so than with the Boks players.
Spot on, agree 100%.
And a lot of honesty with these players as well. And if you're going to get rid of players, get rid of them now, Calvin. But this mixing and matching, evolving a game plan, I just that first half again, 14-0 down, we become clever again. We do the midfield more than everyone is seeing. You know, it's in the name of innovation. Come on, man.
That's embarrassing.
Play the basics right. This whole thing about, it's like we're 5 phases ahead in our thinking, but we're not even catching the ball.
Yeah, well, that's exactly it, though. Is that you talk about doing the basics. I mean, all the innovation and stuff is cute and sexy. I'm not sure you really want to be rolling that out in such a huge game at a venue that you can't win at. And then, especially when your basics are just completely off kilter, you're not winning your own line-out ball. You just look completely disrupted and unsettled. So, the Boks need to get back to the drawing board in a very big way. And I think you can turn things around quite quickly, but it has to come from the top. Rusty has to send the message that, boys, the experiment's over. We're getting back to Boks rugby. We're going to do the basics right. I'm going to reintroduce you guys to the gutter. Let's build again from there, like we did in 2018.
You know, and I think why I'm a little bit emotional and angry, man.
It's not the beers.
It's not the beers. No, I'm actually angry because this was a game I really felt. It wasn't hope, it was conviction. We could go to Eden Park and actually break that hoodoo, become the first team since 1994 to beat the All Blacks at Eden Park, the first Boks team since 1937, because we had the players, we had the group, and we had the preparation. I think that's my biggest frustration. I have no doubt that the group of players picked correctly are good enough to go out to Wellington next week and win. But it's going to be kind of like great, but this was the one. when we look in the context of the Rugby Championship, in the context of this team's legacy, where they built to, they were good enough to go win it. The fact that there was only 7 points at the end shows the quality of individual, because they shouldn't have been in that game, given the way they approached it, the way they played, the kind of errors that they made, the roll of the dice that New Zealand got, and then again, nothing taken away, nothing from New Zealand. Fair play to the All Blacks for winning that game. You'll look back in time, you'll look at that All Black squad, you look at that Springboks squad and say, how did that one win and the other one lose? Now, all my mates are inside there, well, my son's mates are inside there. I don't hang out with 25-year-olds, but they are quite pissed off inside there. And their thing was, it wasn't that they played well, it's that we played so poorly. And the answer is, that's what a lot of people say about the Boks, and we'll beat them. It's because they did the simple things well. And Laurie Maines used to say, it's KISS, keep it simple, stupid. And if this Boks team just goes back to a KISS mentality of keeping it simple, stupid, that's what's won us 4 Rugby World Cup titles, because we went 16 World Cup finals. We weren't kind of elaborate, we weren't innovative in the way of, let's show the world we can score 5 tries. We went in and said, we got a great pack, we got a strong line-out, we got a very good kicking game between our halves and our 15. And when we have to transition, we can do that. Let's do that. And all that has gone out the window this season in the name of evolution towards 2027. And I hate this crap about building towards 2027 or the next World Cup, because 12-11, you get a decision against you and a guy kicks it in the final. Does that make the 4 years redundant?
No, well, exactly. And I think Bucky's put it the best. He said there's only 2 P's in rugby, pressure and support. And we didn't have pressure today. We didn't create any pressure in that first half. The second half, we started getting back to it. We saw the results, and the Boks just need to go back to that blueprint. We do well at World Cups because we go there with one objective, and that's winning. And as soon as we start playing rugby for reasons other than winning, this is generally what happens. So I hope that there have been learnings for the management team. I have my suspicions that probably they haven't. Taking Andre Pollard off in the second half, unless there was an injury, I think it was a crazy decision. And waiting until the 60th to bring Wilco Low on, when everybody can see exactly what this guy does at the set piece. Also another head scratcher. So let's hope the penny drops over the next 24 hours. Yeah, I'm not so sure we can just waltz into the Cape Town and win. I don't care what the history says about us there in the last couple of years. We're still in New Zealand. There's going to be a lot of doubt creeping into this team now. And the answers are not in changing players, it's in changing styles. So let's see how much we can do in 1 week.
Yeah, well, as you said, Bucky said, the 2 P's, pressure and support. Support, there will always be. Boks by 10, there will always be. But there's also a realism. There's a realism about the way we played in the Rugby Championship. There's a realism about the way we've played this season. And it hasn't been good enough to get the results for back-to-back World Cup champions.
Some comments, James, must I read them for you?
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's complaining about the ref. And then,
alive?
yeah, we're still alive?
Yeah, sure.
And then there's a lot of people saying we must get Johan van Graan back and Jacques Nienaber.
Yeah, I think Jacques is a great call. I think he would add a lot of value. I think he'd be a very stabilizing voice in the management team in terms of the way they play. And obviously the guy's proven he can do it. Multiple levels, multiple teams. So that's a good call.
Yeah, look, talking about Jacques, and I go back to, I watched Nick Mallet and Victor talk about it, and they were kind of underplaying the Jacques Nienaber impact as to say it's the way now they're playing, they're trying to evolve their style. I don't agree with that. I think Jacques Nienaber's value has kind of grown in his absence. Because, and I was one of the guys that said, Jacques, great defensive coach, best defensive coach in the world, but it's Rassie's team. The counterbalance that he gives Rassie, the kind of anchoring that he gives Rassie is so obvious, and we've seen that this year. And we're a team that wants to play without the ball. We're best as South Africans playing without the ball, knowing that we've got to tackle. Our DNA is to tackle, to suffocate teams, to watch New Zealand play side to side, east to west, and just keep on going back 5 yards while we smother them. We don't do that passive kind of, we don't think, we can't think. We've never been that team that can like do in Australia, hold your shape, hold, drift. We've got to rush and smash, and we get it right most times. It's like we're not a technical scrum, we're a power scrum.
I also don't think it's our unique value. So like there are South African players who can play like the Wallabies play, but we've got players that are better than that, in that they can bring a level of physicality that nobody else in the world can do. We've got players that other countries wish they had. That is our USPs. We are raw force, brute physicality, relentless work rate, and that sort of culture in us. Nobody else can replicate. So we can pick a bunch of players from this country to play like the Wallabies, and they could probably give them a good run. But they're not the same players that have been playing for South Africa at the last 2 World Cups who've won it on raw force.
Okay, so Jacques Nienaber, I agree. Like if he was back in the fold, we would be a better team, not a worse team. Okay, he adds value. The referee, I thought, did us, but it wasn't the reason we lost. If it would be in South Africa, he would have done that. He's that kind of referee that gives the home team the advantage. And the calls he made are all interpretive. You can't go and really challenge him on saying he got it wrong, because he would say it was down to my interpretation. The ball was out. I said hold. I said go. It's what he wanted to see, okay? And at Eden Park, 50 matches unbeaten, we were always going to have to take the referee out the equation. Again, I felt we didn't, because we were second best at the breakdown. We were second best in terms of our set piece at the line out, and we put ourselves under pressure. And one of our biggest strengths, the contestables, we were second best there. Now when people look at New Zealand play, the first 5 balls, I think that they got 4 of them went up into the air. Great, intelligent rugby. We do that, we kill in the game. And then we believe that crap. And that's the whole thing about the South African mindset. Forget what the world says about us. Let them look at our 4 World Cup titles. The fact that we won the rugby championship, the fact that this team has been consistently number 1 for the last 6 years, been a British and Irish Lions series. We take that Lions series through Mornay staying kicking a 79th minute penalty. For 12 years, the Lions are in pain. If we had lost that 36-34 playing great rugby, we would have been in pain for 12 years as well. I don't understand this mindset of why we have to apologize for being South African, why we have to apologize for the way we play. Germany, in terms of football, I know it's not a good example this weekend, never apologized for the way they played when they dismantled Brazil 7-1 in a World Cup. It was contrasting styles. New Zealand is the Brazil of football, we are the Germany. And kind of let's endorse that. And it's not, again, attacking Tony Brown. Our players love him, they love the elements that he's brought. Like you said, he's been given
Great
license.
attack coach, yeah.
But go back to the fundamentals. You play New Zealand at Eden Park and you don't pick your strongest scrumming tight end.
And you're
To
running
build
short
pressure.
lineouts. Short
To
lineouts
build
at Eden
pressure.
Park, come on.
Against an All Black team that's lacking confidence. They just can't come off a beating against the Pumas in Buenos Aires. 29-23 flat to them. They got a late try and a late penalty to get the bonus point. But they were physically dominated there. And we had to cast that doubt in the first 10 minutes and dominate the All Blacks physically. And what did we do? In wet weather, we went expansively. We turned over the ball within 2 minutes. The kick through, under pressure, they score 7-0. That settles their nerves, it settles everything. And then we get exposed at the line-out, and that goes back to we said that at halftime. The defense coaches, that they actually worked us out in the line-out move is an embarrassment to our coaches. And we came back with brute strength, as we always said. Our 2 scores, the way we scored our points was the way we won the World Cup. Physically strong, disciplined, and with confidence. But we looked like a team not believing they could win in the end and going for the draw. 24-17, we got the penalty. You said kick for poles. 24-20, take the kick off receive, do an Australian, go win the game. We didn't believe we could do that. We settled for a draw and we got a defeat. And when you're willing to settle for a draw, you must be happy with the defeat.
The good news is you're only as good as your next game, and we've got one in Wellington this time next week, and it's a great opportunity for the Boks to bounce back, and we'll be obviously rooting for them 100%. So 7 days is a long time in rugby. Let's hope we use it to our best effect.
No, it is, and I do believe we can win next week. I believe this Boks team can win and should win every time they go out and play, given what they've achieved. It doesn't mean we can't feel annoyed, frustrated, and irritated today. This wasn't like we were playing one of the great All Black teams and we got blown away by 20 points and you just accepted. We must learn to live with expectation in this country.
Yeah.
We must learn to be the favorites. We must learn to say, I'm actually annoyed because history says we should not win there, but our quality of our team says we should. And that first 40 minutes, we looked like a Boks team who had won nothing, not a Boks team that went there as back-to-back world champions. We were playing an All Black team under pressure, in a bit of disarray, and it was one of the great opportunities lost for me for the Boks to get a win. It's now 4 wins in 26 of the professional era. So we really can't be beating our chests when we can't go over there and win. I thought the French second team looked more competitive against the All Blacks.
That's true.
In 2 of those 3 tests than we look today.
Yep.
And that may be that the All Blacks raised the game for us. But hell, we talk about the greatest rivalry. I felt the first 40 minutes was an embarrassment to that rivalry.
Agreed.
And the last 20 minutes was talking to that rivalry. But again, questions for the management. They have to live with the loss. You know, we may be hurting here. The players are going to hurt more. The coaches are going to hurt more.
Yep.
No one loses deliberately. But hell, we love Rassie Erasmus. We love what he's done. But as Nick Matador used to say, I think God has sprinkled some dust on his love child for like 4 or 5 years. That dust is not there at the moment. And there needs to be some serious soul searching within the context of this Boks team for us to move forward. And I don't want to hear the rhetoric of we build into 2027, because every time I've heard a Boks coach say that, we've done nothing. And the beauty about Rassie Erasmus and Jacques Nienhaber in 2018 and in 2020 was they never spoke about the next World Cup. They spoke about winning the next game.
Yeah. Come home, Jackie.
Come on, Jackie. Leave Lynn. We're left for you, man. Leave Dublin and come back to Durban. Guys, catch us on Monday. If you got any comments, send it. We'll be checking the YouTube. Zelzy, it's been lucky to have you here. Imad, thanks for being here. The boys are in there doing jaffles, some weird kind of coffee and a couple of castles. This was our first time just to chat about the game. Obviously, my old man used to say, Saturday, win or lose is about cheering or jeering. Sunday's about rest, Monday's reflection. We'll probably be a bit more reflective on Monday, but you have every reason to feel very, very annoyed today because our boys are too good to put in a performance that they did and lose. Kudos to New Zealand. Well done to the All Blacks. 51 unbeaten. To us, hey, maybe they'll give us Eden Park in the next 2 years again.